now we're going to be talking about data types. And the thing with data types is that it might sound like a brand new thing to you, but the thing is, you already saw it a bit when we looked at variables in printing. So, as you'll see, let's make a variable, a equals word. And this shouldn't look entirely new because we've already seen this variables. So this part right here, this is called a string. We're going to look more specifically at what a string is soon, but just know that this is the data. This is the data when we're talking about the data type. And let's print something. So we're going to print text. This is the data type as well. So you can print data types, you can assign them to variables. With data types, you can perform different operations, and some data types will have specific operations that are exclusive to that. So you can't divide a string, but you can divide a number. So that's an example of an exclusive operation. And printing will be especially useful with all of the data types. So you can test your code and debug, as we discussed before. So you can print any data type. It doesn't have to be a string, and we'll show that in a bit. But if you can move on to strings now.
Sure.
Okay, so strings can store text, and they can also store numbers, but they're different. So I'll explain that if you can. Okay, so you see a equals word, right? We're going to change that to 3. So then we're going to make another variable b, and we're going to make that just the number 3. Let's try printing a, and then we're also going to print b, and let's see what we see. So they look the same, right? But there's a lot of differences in these, and that has to do with when we said how there's some exclusive operations. So we're going to try something where we add a we're gonna add the strings 3 and 3. See what happens. It becomes 3 3. It doesn't add it like a number because the code doesn't know that it's actually, it doesn't know that it's a number. It doesn't know that it's representing it. But if we try doing b plus b, which are both numbers, it's going to be 6 because it does know that they're a number.
You can add, let me just go back onto the replit. Here's a potential error that you might make. You can never do, you can't add numbers and strings together because you get this error. I don't know if you're going to mention that. I just wanted to mention that.
We're going to talk about that next class, casting.
Oh, yeah. But, yeah, we're going solution to casting, which we'll talk about next class.
Okay, so with the string slide, there is when making, as you saw with the different variables, one worked as a string and one worked as a number, and that was because the quotation marks. If we have, let's make another variable c, and then we can use single quotes with this. So either double quotes or single quotes will work, but something you can't do is combine single and double quotes for the same declaration. So if we try to make it a double quote and a single quote, it won't work. It's going to error. And that's because whatever it starts with, it has to end with. So that's important. It'll say, it says that you can set it with variables. We've seen that with A and C. So we just showed concatenation when we added those 2 3s. But something you can also do with strings is multiplication. So let's try multiplying a number. We'll do 2.
Could we rename the variable a to string?
Yeah.
So that it's easier. And then we'll create.
Okay, so when you multiply a string, you're going to get 2 of them, like as we showed before. But if you try to multiply our variable number by 2, you're going to get 6, like before, because they have specific operations and they're being treated in different ways. It doesn't know that the number 3, like the string 3, is a representing a number.
Does it matter if the quotations? Oh, we just answered that question, but well, okay. Just make sure that you use the same on both sides. You can't have double on one end and single on the other end, but otherwise,
It's a preference thing, really.
Yes. Also, remember if you're using single or double quotes in your text, like let's say you want to use a contraction, right? In order to not mess up the code, there's 2 things you can do.
you want.
Like we'll talk about the second thing in another class, but the first thing that you can do is you can change your like the outer quotations. Like if you want to do a contraction, right, you can change the outer quotations to double quotes instead of single quotes. And then you won't have to worry about the string ending early.
Here's an example on screen. Since you want to put a single quote in here, you can put double quotes on the outside so that it disregards the single quote.
Oh yeah, show what happens if you use single quotes.
Yeah. If you use single quotes, then it stops here. It thinks this is the string, and then it gets lost on what this is. So, and also you can use this for quotation marks. If you have a quote in your sentence, then you can do. You can have quotes in your sentence, and this would be a valid string, even though you have this other string inside it. This is a string, so that's the use of using double and single, and that's when it would matter. But what if you want to use double and single? We'll be talking in like the same string, and it's super complex. We'll be talking about that next class, or not next class, maybe.